Creativity is a massive part of my sets, especially for a DJ like me that plays across the board of many styles. Being able to put those pieces together, being creative, making those bridge moments between those different styles of music, being able to jump from one energy to the next. Creativity is a huge point because you don't want to jar things too much. You've got to be clever and put a lot of thought and attention into how you're going to get from point A to point B, whether it's up or down. So it's a huge part of my sets. For me, creativity is best on the fly because you're reacting to the audience in front of you. You're playing to the audience. Every audience, it could be a territorial thing, it could be what set time you're playing. You could be doing what I do a lot, open to close set. So you're reacting to the vibe, the energy of the track, if you the crowd in front of you. Sorry. So you could be warming the crowd up. You could be wanting to build them from the warm moment to when the party really begins. That trigger point when you want everyone to just pile on the dance floor and really go for it. So you can't pre-plan things like that. You can't just sit at home and think, okay, after an hour I'm going to shift the energy, go here, and then after another hour I'm going to go here. You have to read the floor. You have to read when the people are coming in, when you feel them starting to move. You get the instinct, the DJ instinct cuts in to like, okay, the party's ready to start. So you have to be instantly be prepared and creative to take from that moment you're in to suddenly go. So it's impossible for me to pre-plan sets. That's just one small example of many moments within a set. I had an hour set, Electric Daisy Carnival Festival, and an hour's not a lot for me. But I sensed the moment when I needed to do some form of energy shift. But the track I was playing was actually working. It was really good. It locked the crowd in, but this particular track didn't have some form of moment within it. So I created a moment, creativity, the key word there. I got the same track on another player. I think I had it on 3 plays altogether. And I had the key lock on this particular track. So I took that off on the other deck, had a quick listen to my headphones, and it shifted the key, the original key, because it was pitched up. It took it up, and it was enough to create, in my instant head, was I can create a key change out of this. So I got some effects, built a crescendo on the existing track played the same track, and when the track kicked in, it went up a few keys. So it created this energy shift of a key change which went up. So the energy lifted and the crowd went mad. And that was just playing the same track. Instead of quickly scuffling to find something else to try and play, that track was already working. So playing the same track, using the tools in front of me. So that was a big creative moment, and the crowd went nuts, they loved it. Oh, technology's played a massive game changer in the creative role of DJs. It's opened up a huge amount of possibilities, especially for me. I know my colleagues, because we talk about this. If we wind back to, say, the vinyl days, you were just so restricted. Yes, you could do so much playing one track to another, but that's literally it, one track to another to another. Now we fast forward to today, you're basically bringing the studio environment into the DJ booth. You're using all the knowledge that you know within the studio world and bringing it to the DJ booth. It's been a massive game changer for me. Just the simple basics like loops, what you can do with loops, how you can change your set by using loops. Then you start looking at the loops. Again, how can you be creative with a loop? Not just playing the loop. What can I do to this loop to make it really interesting? How can I do this, layer it on multiple decks, for example? There's so much you can do, and we are DJs now, most of us are predominantly producers as well. So having that knowledge and bringing it into the booth, massive game changer for all of us, especially for me. I mean, the key for me is not fully preparing as in what I'm going to play at any club. For me, that becomes an asset to me. Not knowing what I'm going to do forces me to be armed and ready for any situation given to me, and that stems back to the tracks. I spend so much time and detail getting to know the tracks. First thing, listening to the energy vibe, what you might think is, say, a deep track, for example. When you play it in a club, suddenly the kick's more heavier, the bass is more heavier, so it becomes a harder one. So you don't want to get caught out in scenarios like that where you're building a set, you're nice and deep, and suddenly there's a big banging track comes on. It gives an energy shift that you don't want. So preparation is key. It's huge key. Just small examples like that. Make all these notes on the tracks of what is going to happen in the track, the arrangement. Don't get caught out with melodies happening suddenly in the wrong place that you don't want it to happen. So I prepare the tracks. You know, in Engine, I make little tag points, hot cue points, loop points, a certain point of each track. So if I still want to play that track, I can re-edit that track on the fly. So take out, say for example, if I'm playing to a crowd, they don't like the breakdowns. So I still want to play that track. It's a track that I know and love. They will probably know it as well. So I can re-edit that track to take out the breakdown. Be creative and make a brand new edit, a new version of that track, removing the breakdown because they don't like it, or vice versa. If they're enjoying breakdowns and you get their hands on the moments, extend that moment. So it's knowing each individual track. I put so much work into every track, the preparation, listening again, doing mixes at home. I do marathon mixes all the time at home. I sometimes play 5-6 hours just alone at home, but I'm getting to know my tools for my job. So when I go out and play, I know exactly what to reach for, how to reach for, what's going to happen, when to remove things, when to add things. So preparation for me is a huge point of this. Oh, trying to put into words what music I use in one of my marathon sets, what musical scope do I use. No one can pinpoint it. The fans have actually named it the Joof sound because it's unique to me. And genres are so confusing now. I'm predominantly known from years ago in the trance world, for example, but the older generation will talk about trance like I know is trance, but the new generation, trance is something completely different, should have a different name. So that's where things get really muddled, and it's the same with techno at the moment. If you talk to the old school techno DJs, what they see and remember as techno, it's evolved to something completely different. So it's so difficult to call it anything genre related, so I just call it the Joof sound as well. It has hypnotic vibes in whatever I choose. If it's low tempo, if it's deeper music, if it's harder music, to me it has to have this hypnotic feeling to it. It has to be well produced. It has to have some form of melodic influence, some pads, just some sprinkle of magic in there. My ears pick up on, okay, this is really, really good. It does what I intended to do. I don't care where it belongs, where I got it from, what genre it belongs to, or whoever translates it to what genre. I hear it as it'll fit in my set. It belongs in my sound, my Joof sound. So it's very difficult to pinpoint. It's really hard because sometimes I don't keep tabs on how long I've been playing. I really don't. I'm one of those DJs. I shouldn't say this because promoters will now say it all the time. If a promoter comes up to me and say, "Look, you're right, playing for another couple of hours," yeah, I'm in. Where, you know, especially in this world, agents would be screaming, "Man, no, 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 no!" So I just want to play, and if it extends and it extends, I'll keep playing. Melbourne, there's two stories which stand out, and there was one many years ago in the late 90s when that exact same thing happened. I played 5 hours anyway. I think it was 5 or 6 hours. The promoter said, "Look, we can keep going. This venue's going to close down, so let's go out of a boom." And I continued for another 5 or 6 hours, and it was unbeknown to anyone. Everyone was kind of getting ready to go home, getting their jackets in the cloakroom, and then I carried on playing, and the crowd was still there. So there was all this confusion, and I kept going and going and going. So coats were off, and they were back in the game again. But it went on and on and on. But it became such a magical experience because it was unexpected to me and to them, so it makes it really magical. It just turned into an epic party. And again, it happened in Melbourne. I think I was going for about 11 and a half hours, and the only reason I had to stop because I had the flight to get to Sydney, so I had to stop from that long set, really zoom to the airport. I just made my flight, and then do another open to close set. When I landed, I literally landed, went straight to the next club, so it's back to back long extended sets. This seems to happen in Australia.